Hi, I'm Paul Adams, creator of One-on-One Piano. Today I'm going to show you the equipment that I recommend you use to connect to our app for an acoustic online piano lesson. So One-on-One Piano is special because it connects pianos in a call, but if you have an acoustic piano that you love and want to use with just microphones, this is the best way to do it. I'm going to show you how to do it on a very basic Windows machine that I was able to get at Best Buy for a low price, but this will work on Windows, Mac, and Chromebook as well. I like to use two cameras plus the camera that's built into the laptop. I use one for overhead, one for side, and one for my face, and you'll see that later. So the most significant thing I think for cameras is how we get them to stay overhead. So this is my favorite thing because it's only about $12 on Amazon right now. This is a camera holder that will actually clamp on to change the angle. So when it's packaged, it comes like this. You'll need to change the angles. So I'll put it up where this is at the top, and then to change angle, you loosen the knob at the top, okay? And then I'm going to extend it out so it's nice and long. So hopefully you're starting to see what would happen. This is going to clamp to the piano down here. This is going to reach out over, and this is where our camera is going to be, okay? Next, I'm going to screw this into the base. So this is the clamp. We're going to screw this guy in. Okay. Now he's ready to go on the piano. I'm also going to add the camera onto it now. They provide a little ball mount for your camera that I really recommend using because it gives you some flexibility. So we'll put that on at this time as well. Okay, so now that guy is all on there. We're going to put on the camera. When cameras come in the package, they're usually like this, which can be a little confusing when you try to hook up to the end of this because the camera will be flipped the wrong way and you're wondering what to do. The trick is to rotate this 180 degrees. Now we can put this on right here, and it's going to work really, really well. Also, I'm going to loosen this up so that I can really easily turn this onto the camera. It's much easier to turn this than it is to turn the camera. Okay, so the camera's on there, snug as a bug in a rug, and now we're going to extend this out. So this is ready to give us a nice overhead view of our piano playing, and we can always tighten this up when we get it over and we're trying to get everything straight. This is kind of a permanent install, so you won't have to mess with this again once you get it on your piano. And in a second, I'll show you too that it can be used with the lid up. I have it installed on another piano just like that. So make sure that this is the right width. Don't hit your dampers if you can avoid it. It doesn't have to be all the way on because it's not bearing very much weight. So I'm going to tighten it up about this much on this piano, and that's good. If your desk is in the way, you can slide it out of the way. Okay, so this is a little bit low angle. We're going to refine this by just moving this up one. There we go. I got a nice click out of it. That'll be a good view for this camera. Snug it up. Now we got that set up. Let me show you a couple other uses of this. In this case, we're able to put it on an open lid piano and it works very nicely. So basically you would hook it up the way I showed you, and then you just loosen up these knobs again and rotate everything so it's flat, and that's all you have to do. You might lower it a little bit on this vertical stake too. So it's almost the same setup, but you just rotate it, okay? And then one other thing you should know about is the alternative way, if you have a keyboard especially and there's nothing to clamp to, is using a microphone stand. So microphone stands are much better than tripods because not only do they go up, they go over. So there's an adapter that basically gives you a ball mount, tripod mount for any standard sized microphone stand, and that's what I've got on here. So this screws on like this. I can take it on and off, and it adapts between the large microphone stand head and the smaller standard that we use for cameras. This is a great way to get an over the hands view as well. This is going to be my side camera. It's going to sit over here. This will show nice views of my hand. All right, so we can take this hub, we'll connect it to our computer. My connection's over here, my USB-C connection. And then we'll just plug these two guys in, just like this. And now they're ready. The computer will be able to see them when we open up the app. I'm going to plug it in right next to the cameras, and it'll come alive. Now I'm going to bring over what are called XLR cables. These are a balanced cable that connects your microphone to your interface box. All right, so now we're ready to put our microphones on the stands. This is where we have both voice and instrument. I recommend this set of MXL mics. They're condenser mics, they sound really good, and they're just the perfect combo. So this is the one we're going to use for our piano, and this is the one we're going to use for our voice. I'm going to show you how the adapters work for the microphone stands. So this one has this piece that you have to screw out. It takes quite a bit of turning to get it out, so don't give up. All right, and then the way we hook it up is we put it on there and then put this back on. Be gentle on the threads so you don't strip it, but that's how it works, okay? Now it's ready to be mounted. And then we'll do the same thing for this pencil mic. We are gonna put it on here and get it ready. This one, it uses friction and it's very light, so we're just gonna have it at this angle. All right, let's put this on the microphone stand. One little trick with microphone stands is that it can be very hard to turn the microphone around and around and put it on there. So what you do is you just loosen up the adjustment for how far it sticks out, and you just turn it. So right here, we're just gonna put it right in here and turn, and on it goes. Okay, so for our talking, I'm probably gonna have this right here. It's really up to you to adjust it how you want, but this is nice and stable, it stays out of your way. That's what I prefer, but really it is a subjective thing. Okay, let's put up our pencil mic for our piano. So since our lid is closed, we're gonna put the mic kind of in center mass, you might say, behind the lid where the strings can get to it. So again, we're gonna loosen this a little bit so that it's easier to turn on. And then after this, all we have to do is hook up the cables. So we're almost done here. Okay. I like it about here. Again, you can adjust it as you like. Okay, let's hook up these cables. For my own clarity, I like to have number 1 be my voice, and number 2 be the piano. But it really doesn't matter, just as long as you know what it is. Okay, these are connected. And I can see that because the green lights are blinking. Before we join the session, we want to make sure that our interface is configured correctly. So I'll take you through what these dials do. It may be overwhelming, but once you understand, I think it's pretty simple. And the other great thing is you won't have to change them often. So I have my voice microphone on this one, and the way I set it is I just say something loud, and I find the point where I get a red, and then I back off from that. So I'll just say something like, boo, and there's red, boo, 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 boo. So that's about our happy spot. 8 is because, you know, you can get red if you're talking really, really loud, but you want your normal conversation to keep that green light kind of solid. So that's what I did right there. Now I'm gonna move to the piano and we're gonna do something similar. We're just gonna play just do a C major chord, something easy. Okay, we could probably have it a little louder. Okay, but right there, try to play at the same volume. You know, we're getting a clip. So we want to back it off a little bit. So there's almost no clip. And, okay, it looks like between 6 and 7, maybe at 6. If you're gonna play really loud a lot, maybe do 6. in our case at least. And now we've got our levels. These you won't really have to change a lot. So we've got this fixed. These switches down in front, they're just going to stay on line, so you won't ever have to mess with them. They just change the sensitivity of the mics. Line is where you want it for our application. And then working along to this switch, you want phantom power to be on. You want this light to be lit up and this on because condenser mics like ours use that. Here's your headphones port. If you're using headphones ports, you want to slide this slider all the way left and have it on direct mono, but we're using speakers, so we really want it to be on USB. And that's because you don't want to get a feedback loop between your speakers and your microphones. And then the very last thing to think about is monitor, which is actually your speakers, because the speakers are monitoring what we're doing, right? So they're going out, and it's all labeled on this thing. So our speaker volume I have set here. The rule of thumb is kind of 75% is always good, but this is a pretty sensitive system, so it can handle higher. So we have it right about here, and really that's just whatever you're comfortable with running on your speakers. And if you need to turn it down, you can turn it down. So this is the one you'll be using the most often to control your speaker volume. Okay, now we need to be able to hear the sound from the lesson. So a lot of our laptop speakers are not very good. So for that, we can go into the M-Audio interface, and these are the outs, okay? We can connect these to an external speaker. So I hook these into the 1/4" jacks, and now it's playing through my speakers. Here's my speakers. On the other side, they have audio in, and these are very basic speakers from Amazon. So now I can hear the lesson very clearly. All right, so now we have our setup. It took about 15 minutes, and you might want to do some cable cleanup, but otherwise you are ready for online lessons with great sound. Next, we'll go into a room and show you the settings that you need to use in one-on-one piano to get the best results from this interface. So I'm going into this room that I named after my piano. And all we have to do is join room, and it's at that point that we'll get a media settings page. So this shows us all the cameras that we have available and what they will look like. So I've got this overhead one obviously right here, and then here's my side camera. So that's the one off to my right, and integrated camera is the one that is my face cam. So that's what I use during a lesson. You can kind of see these. You can switch through them if you want at this time, but you'll have a switcher once you're in the session. So the next thing you want to change is your microphone settings. It's defaulting to one of the Nexigo webcam microphones, which will not sound very good and is not why we did all this. So we want to change that. We're going to change it to line USB audio codec. Sometimes the system will call it something else, but generally it will have something to do with USB audio. So it already figured out to use the USB audio for output, so we're good there. We don't really need to change anything. Silent mode is not something we're using. It's for when you bring a mobile device in as a second camera. Voice isolation we definitely want off. And right here we have auto gain control. So auto gain control is on by default, but it remembers your previous settings. So I've been using this computer for acoustic lessons a little bit here, so it's off. But what auto gain control does is it adjusts for when you have only one microphone that's trying to do the job for everyone. So when your microphone is trying to get your voice, and then the piano, it's always having to adjust the levels dynamically. But if you want dynamics, speaking of dynamics, to show up clearly, so if you want to hear the difference between pianissimo and fortissimo really, really well, you want that off. And so because we've set all our levels like we just did, we want it off, and the only thing we have here is a gain slider. So if for some reason your student's having trouble hearing you and they've turned up their volume, the first thing to do is ask, is your volume turned up? But you can increase gain, and that will help. But generally, this is going to be about right if we have our green lights fairly active like we discussed. So that is all you really need to do. Just make sure that auto gain control is off, and make sure that you're using your interface And of course, make sure your cameras are working and they look like you like. So I'm happy with it. I'm going to press connect. We can go into the room. Now we see all three. This is what our student would see, and then our student would probably be this fourth box here. So in here we have this wonderful camera switcher. I'm going to actually move it up here where it's more convenient to access the menu. So this little camera switcher. So this is a box that shows all the cameras available, so we can go between them. So if we need to have the heart-to-heart, I turn those off. If we need to show them just top-down view and maybe only top-down view, we show them this. But I can have my face and the top-down view. I can have all three views, just like we started with. Or, you know, if we're just really trying to focus on technique, I can have it like this. And now they're like, you know, they're going to learn rotation because it's very clear. So that's the advantage of using our app with this camera setup. You can go through those very dynamically.